At this point, this game might even dethrone God of War for me. There was a time when they used to make games of popular movies, but now we just make movies of popular games. And what's ironic is that the games today are no less than a long movie that you can interact with. Most games have 5 hours of gameplay and 14 hours of your character just walking and talking about that one time they almost got laid. Which good for you, buddy. Can I fight an enemy now? Because of the lack of gameplay in AAA games, Souls-like games are getting more popularity because the majority of the lore is only explained by enemies, which you decide if you want to give importance to or not. There is one game that is unintentionally a Souls-like and it's 2D. Ladies and gentlemen, Hollow Knight. If you've never heard of Hollow Knight before, then brother, you are touching way too much grass. You practically turned into a plant yourself. Go back to your goon cave and play this game. And if you don't, then don't worry, I understand. Then I'm not gonna regret pulling this trigger. Hollow Knight is a 2D Metroidvania game that has gained a lot of popularity for being extremely hard, and trust me, Dark Souls got nothing on Hollow Knight in terms of difficulty. My regular viewers know that my channel is exclusively about God of War, especially the Greek games, but ever since I played Hollow Knight, I wanted to make a video about it. When I started Hollow Knight, I was like, okay, cool, a game that has a lot of bugs in it. I'm only gonna finish it once and then never touch it again. It'll just be a one-off play for me. I definitely won't get attached to this game and try to get a full completion. And here we are. At this point, this game might even dethrone God of War for me. I couldn't even remember myself having so much fun playing a game that I not only went against my words, I went against my schedule. Yeah, that's right, this video that you're watching right now was supposed to come out a month ago, but I just kept playing Hollow Knight instead of making this video. It's gotten to a point where I can't even say that I like this game because I've started to love it instead. Sorry God of War, you've changed too much. You're not the same as you used to be. I think we need a break. There's something about Hollow Knight that makes you want to play just a little more, and you don't even realize you've said that line 5 times already and the game has been on for 10 hours. I don't know what it is. Is it the simple but satisfying gameplay, or the vast handcrafted world, or the music that's been blessing your ears throughout this entire video? Maybe it is the boss fights that shorten your lifespan every time you die at the very end. Let me tell you how Hollow Knight completely changed gaming for me. I am someone who's mostly played games that are on the PSP and PS3. God of War has always been on top of my list. I've only played 3 2D games, which is Super Mario Bros. On a knockoff Nintendo console, Loco Roco on the PSP, and Hollow Knight on my phone. For being the third 2D game I ever played, I had very less expectations from Hollow Knight, and I was disappointed even when I fought and beat Growth and False Knight. I thought the game was supposed to be hard. It wasn't until I made the Miss Silksong that I found out the true difficulty spike of this game. I remember I had 20 hours on this game back then. 10 hours was just exploring and the other 10 was just me dying to Hornet. After beating her and getting the dash ability, I started to like the game a little bit because I could dash now. After that, I made it all the way to Soul Sanctum, and my 5th boss was the Soul Master. And brother, I'm a very patient and chill guy, but this motherfucker made me unleash my inner Spartan rage. The Soul Master baited me to use a controller just to beat him. After beating Soul Master, instead of being happy, I was just sad because I wanted to fight him again despite dying to him so many times. Beating him was a feeling I've been wanting for a long time, which was a sense of accomplishment. Fighting him aimlessly again and again and not succeeding, but just changing my charms a little bit helped me beat him. That's why I'm trying something new on the channel too, which is appreciating Hollow Knight in this video and hoping this video does better than my other videos and help me get into a better life. Enough sidetracking, let's get back to the topic. So after beating the Soul Master and getting my 2nd spell, I got addicted to the game, playing it non-stop. I was exploring, finding new areas and new bosses. I don't know if I've said it already, but I hate open world games, but I like semi-open world games like Dark Souls. And it took me some time to realize that Hollow Knight was a semi-open world game as well, which only made me like it even more. I had found and collected all 3 dreamers and only the final boss remained, and I was determined to never play this game again after that, because I hate multiple endings and I wanted to move straight to Silksong. After beating the Hollow Knight, I did just that and started playing Silksong. I remember I made it all the way to the Deep Docks, but I couldn't continue any further. Something kept me from progressing in Silksong. I felt like I'm doing injustice to the series by not finishing the first game, so I deleted my save file from Silksong and went back to Hollow Knight. This time I was determined to finish it completely and to even do the Path of Pain, which is a completely optional parkour section of the game for some serious lore, and only after completing it fully will I play Silksong. And I did just that. I went through every crevice of the game, talked to every NPC I could find, and cleaned up all the remaining bosses. After doing everything and getting the Void Heart charm, I fought the Radiance and kept dying to it for 2 days straight, and then I finally beat the Radiance. And now, I was finally ready to play Silksong, the long-awaited sequel of Hollow Knight. I booted it up and I got to the main menu, but then that same feeling came back. I still felt like there was more in Hollow Knight, and I was right. Getting 112% wasn't enough. There was still the Godmaster DLC. The Godmaster DLC opens up an area where you can fight any boss you want with 3 difficulty levels, Radiant being the hardest, because every boss just insta-kills you if it even touches you. And although it is completely optional and doesn't even give you an achievement, I still felt like I had to do it. So I did. And there are also the Pantheon, which are boss races with 10 bosses in each Pantheon, and the 5th Pantheon having every single boss in the game back to back. And the Pantheons do have an ending and an achievement, so I had to do them. So by this point I had become masochist enough to start drooling at such an opportunity. So I did all the Pantheons and got the Embrace the Void ending. And now there was nothing left in Hollow Knight. I could finally play Silksong. And turns out the Pantheons have another ending, and I have to bring a flower to the God Seeker and do the Pantheon 5 again. So I did just that, and now I was finally ready to play Silksong, the long-awaited sequel to Hollow Knight and the second game by Team Cherry. I booted up Silksong and decided to stream it. I could finally play Silksong for real. There was nothing that could stop me anymore. The Silksong is real. And just after 3 streams of Silksong, that feeling came back again. The feeling that I still had not done the bindings in Pantheons. The bindings are basically restrictions, like nerfing your nail damage, cutting off your soul supply or health, and making you charmless. This game was just haunting me at this point. It was like a toxic relationship I couldn't walk out of anymore. Maybe I shouldn't have broken up with God of War. So I went back to do the bindings. But since I was only playing Silksong while I was streaming on my limited mobile internet, I could still play and do the bindings when I was not streaming. So finally, I was able to play both Hollow Knight and Silksong. Right now I'm still stuck at Pantheon 5 bindings, but I'll get them soon. Because now it's time for Silksong. And Silksong was even better than Hollow Knight. Before I played Silksong, I knew for sure Team Cherry wouldn't be able to make something just as good as their first game. But boy was I wrong. Silksong felt so similar yet vastly different at the same time. The new mechanics and abilities and the tools are a blast. And I fell in love with Silksong too, so much so that I couldn't even wait for my mobile data to renew so that I could play it on stream. But sadly, since barely anyone watched my Silksong streams, I decided to stop streaming myself entirely and just play it myself. And that's why even writing the script for this video took me a whole week. I was just procrastinating and playing Silksong all this time. And so far I am in Act 2 right now, and I had a very fun time fighting the first sinner. I have mostly been exploring instead of doing the story quest. I really need to restrain myself from playing Silksong and focus on the channel. But don't blame me, blame Team Cherry for making such an amazing game. The music, the art style, the bosses, the abilities, the traversal, everything in these 2 games rivaled everything I have ever played in my entire life. And I am very lucky to have played Hollow Knight this late, because I didn't have to wait to play Silksong like the rest of the fandom. If you want to play both of these games as well and don't have a PS4 or 5 like me, don't worry, the games are also available on Xbox, Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, PC, and even Android through some ports. And you don't even need a beast PC to play these games, because the requirements are so low you can even play it with your brain hooked up to a monitor. Just a little heads up, do not try to play this game without a controller. With that, this video comes to an end, and now I'm going to the Silksong bakery. Bye.